Chinese hospitals are desperate for money, and they will stoop to any evil to get it. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. This story damn near broke me. But before I get into that, I need to give you a message from our sponsor, since that's how I can afford to keep making the show. In 2025, 51% of companies are already using AI. Microsoft, Amazon, Google, they've all laid off thousands. 40% of people fear AI will take their job this year. But these companies are also hiring people who know how to use AI. So let me introduce you to an incredibly powerful 2-day AI mastermind happening this weekend. 2 days with expert mentors, 16 hours of learning, and 10 plus AI tools to help you go from an AI rookie to AI pro. The AI Mastermind has been attended by 4 million people across the globe in the last 12 months. This training is worth $895, but we've partnered with Outskill to make it completely free for you. You'll learn 10 plus powerful AI tools, how to use AI in Excel to create professional presentations effortlessly, how to develop and use AI agents to do your work for you, and lots more. So clear your calendar this weekend. The training is Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. both days. And when you attend, you'll also unlock bonuses worth $5,000, including over 3,000 prompts, the 10K a month AI roadmap, and a personalized automation toolkit. So scan the QR code or click the link in the description. And make sure to join their WhatsApp community to receive all the updates. I do appreciate our sponsors, and not just for making this show possible, but also because I got to delay getting into this story. And oh boy, here we go. The Chinese Communist Party would have you believe that when it comes to healthcare, they're the best. And they've got an army of shills on social media selling the same message. According to them, Chinese healthcare is cheap, accessible, and socialized. There's just one problem. It's not true. The central government does give public hospitals some funding, but it's pretty limited. So hospitals are forced to turn to other sources of income to survive. I'll save the worst for last. Since I'm starting with overprescribing medicines for profit, you know it's gonna get bad. Right now, some of the pro-China shills are saying, "What are you talking about? A Donkey Kong-sized barrel of morphine is a perfectly appropriate prescription for a stubbed toe." According to the China Project, in 2012, the revenue from drug sales accounted for 44.3% of the total revenue of public hospitals. This dropped to 30.6% after legal reforms in 2020, but that's still nearly a third of total revenue. And that's for public hospitals that get government subsidies, which might be part of why, for decades, Chinese hospitals, public and private, have prescribed IV drips for all sorts of visitors, even for something as minor as the flu or the common cold. According to China's National Development and Reform Commission, in 2009, China was using more than 2 times the bottles of IV drips per person than any other country. It got so bad in 2014, my favorite Chinese state-run media, the Global Times, warned it was time to cut out the IV drip habit. This has been a serious problem for China's most vulnerable. In 2016, state-run Xinhua reported that quote-unquote bad reactions to overuse of the IV drip infusions have contributed to 200,000 deaths per year and caused deafness in 300,000 children under the age of 7. 200,000 deaths per year. That's actually an improvement over some of their other policies, but still not great. On top of that, China's also had a problem with overprescribing antibiotics, which in turn creates antibiotic-resistant bacteria, making it even harder to treat people. Wow, I can't believe China would come up with a disastrous policy around dealing with disease. The Chinese government has tried to crack down on overprescription, but things haven't gotten much better. And that's not the only way hospitals try to make money. One woman in Shenyang posted a video claiming that a doctor had her admitted at the mental health center in Hunan district just for mild insomnia. Who knew being a night owl was a form of clinical psychosis? Once in, she discovered that she couldn't leave. She was forced to do group psychotherapy activities with severely mentally ill patients and take medications for a week. They gave her multiple injections, causing repeated bruising on her arm and, stop me if you've heard this one before, put her on IV drips. Strangely, the woman reported seeing different doctors and receiving different diagnoses, like depression and bipolar disorder, even though her only problem was insomnia. The woman also claims that staff took away her phone and deleted her photo album, although apparently they weren't very successful. The head nurse even allegedly threatened to tie her up and drug her if she didn't do as they said. Did this nurse watch Nurse Ratched and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and say, "Slow down, I can't take notes that fast"? The woman says she felt traumatized from the experience. She's going to need mental health care for her mental health care. Definitely didn't come cheap. Then she found out she wasn't alone. Many Chinese netizens responded to her post, recounting their own bad experiences. One said that doctors in the same hospitals didn't offer any constructive advice and just kept telling them to take medicine. Very expensive medicine, I'm sure. I'm also shocked at doctors that get paid less than the guy manning the sour cream gun at Taco Bell don't do stellar work. Another user said a doctor didn't ask any specific questions, he just admitted them to the hospital and prescribed a bunch of medication, which the user managed to avoid. There are a bunch of other horror stories of doctors over-exaggerating symptoms in order to charge more. Among them is the demon doctor Liu Xiangfeng. And you can probably tell where the story's going, since no bastion of the Hippocratic Oath gets nicknamed the Demon. He's been accused of exaggerating illnesses to prescribe costly treatments and was sentenced last year to 17 years in jail for taking bribes and performing a bunch of unnecessary operations. He was also accused of diagnosing random lumps on patients' bodies as cancerous and pushing the patients to undergo chemotherapy. Doctor, those aren't lumps, they're called nipples. Okay, here we are. The big one. When it comes to funding for hospitals, the real money is in forced human organ harvesting. You see, China doesn't have a functioning organ donation system. What it does have is a bunch of Falun Gong practitioners in labor camps and a bunch of Uyghurs in vocational training centers. In fact, China's set to triple the number of Uyghur organ harvesting centers. And according to a former Chinese military doctor, Taiwan is the next big source for organs. This is how, again, in a country with no real functioning organ donation system, they're making $1 billion a year on organ transplants. Estimates are about 60 to 100,000 transplants a year. A lot of this is for wealthy foreigners. This is an express lane in the Kashgar airport in Xinjiang for people getting organs. Notice the English. So the next time you hear people say how amazing and cheap Chinese hospitals are, remember that China's healthcare system depends on doing a lot of awful things to keep functioning. Of course, the CCP hates that I bring this up, and apparently so does YouTube. So if you haven't, click this button to support us on ChinaUncensored.tv. Don't worry, we're not going to try and take your money at your health's expense. We're just trying to give you exclusive, in-depth China coverage you won't see anywhere else. And don't get left behind when everyone else is learning how to use AI. Be one of the first 1,000 people to click below and book your slot for OutSkills AI training this weekend. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.